What's up, guys? I got a great piece of news for you. Starting from tonight, I'm going to make a series of lectures about the King's Gambit from White's point of view, from White's side. So let's go. You gotta take on f5. When you take on f5, you just threaten to go with Queen h5 check-in to win the game on the spot. They can't play knight f6 because you're going to take on e5 and knight is going to be hanging, followed by queen h5 with completely winning game. Lots of guys, and I found majority of these weaker guys, they take on f4. So they just follow the footsteps of White. Even the first famous game of the Greco's Countergambit happened here, and Greco was Greco was black, and he won this game with the black pieces. And right after that, like 100 years ago, it wasn't just like right after that, Delmar played in New York in 80-70 a game like this and refuted this e takes f4. If they play e takes f4, all you have to remember that is just a very bad move. You just go with queen h5 check, and when they go g6, you take. Literally the only move is queen e7, but after bishop e2, you're completely winning because you're up a pawn, you're about to threaten g7 to win more material, they're completely lost, and you're, according to the engines, +3, +4. Although, in that famous game of Greco was knight f6, g7, sorry, Delmar against John Doe, this guy captured the queen, and he captured the rook and promoted and won the game. I don't want to show you the rest because he was up a rook and the rest of the game is really not that interesting. And we have two more moves to check. After e takes f5, they can play queen h4 and queen e7. Believe it or not, the author of these videos, actually that's myself, I played one simul game. I played a game in the simul a few years ago, and my opponent went with the queen h4. At that time, I was pretty surprised that somebody went for this Greco's Countergambit, because I knew that I should be a lot better, almost winning out of the opening. But I very much like my attitude during the simul game. It wasn't time-limited simul, it was in real life, so I had lots of time to think, for each move. And look at this. After queen e7, majority of these games that I found in Chessbase were with f takes e5 or something else like knight f3. I just played a logical move, bishop g2. My thinking process was that if they take on f4, what my opponent did, I'm going to play knight e2, covering my king, developing one more piece, and when they play f takes g3, and which I really hoped that he was gonna do, and he did it, I played short castle. This is a typical King's Gambit plan. You just sack all your pawns around the king. You don't care about that. All you care in this position is full activity of your pieces and initiative, just like in any other King's Indian Gambit. But look what happened now. He captured an h2. I played king h1. I played against some Serbian soldiers. That was the simul. So already I was 2 pawns down. So after knight f6, I played d4, threatening bishop g5 followed by knight bc3. Don't forget, I'm 2 pawns down, but okay, I can always get a pawn back on h2 and being down a pawn. What is my compensation, or what is a good thing about this position? The fact that the queen stands on e7, it's a pretty bad queen, and also quite exposed king on e8. After he went for d5, I played bishop g5, which I found a very logical developing move, which pins the knight and the queen. Also, it threatens knight bc3 followed by knight e5 with tempo. That's what I thought, but look what happened in the game. He played queen f7, unpinning this queen. After queen f7, I played knight f4, threatening on d5. After c6, here something crossed my mind. Wait a sec, it's a simul game, it's for fun. On the other hand, I very much like my position, so I said, let's mix Queen's Gambit and King's Gambit. So I played c4. Typical idea seen in the Queen's Gambit. Here, my idea was to break these pawns and to somehow penetrate onto the pretty much exposed king on e8. My opponent captured on c4, and I played d5. I very much like this idea with d5 because I just want to open this game somehow. I realized during the game that he couldn't play bishop e7 because of d6, so I don't give him time to breathe. He couldn't play bishop d6 simply because of check and d takes e6, in which case I would threaten the bishop, and I'm also threatening c takes b7. So my opponent went with c takes d5. And I said, okay, I can take on d5 definitely. I mean, I have a great compensation, but here an idea and words of one of the best attackers of all times, Paul Morphy, came just to me. And I said, the best way to build up an attack is by developing the rest of your pieces. So this is what I insist lately very much on, mobilization of your pieces. So I played knight c3. He played bishop e7, and look at this. If he makes castle, I'm just dead. So I just said, let me just take it. It's finally time to take it and to take on d5. He had to capture by pawn. If he takes by queen, I would just take with the tempo knight f to d5 or knight cd5, whatever. So he captured by pawn. If he captures by bishop, I'm going to give first check and then take on d5 by bishop or by knight. That's why he captured by pawn, and look what happened. Pretty much forcing line. I took by bishop, queen has to go on f8. I gave check, went here. I removed my rook onto the open file, he played king c7. I played knight b5, he played king b6. I captured on c4, and I said, I'm happy because I'm only down 2 pawns, and I don't even want to count the h2 pawn as a being down a pawn. But the thing is, king on b6 looks terribly bad. He also doesn't even have time to play a6 and king a7 because of this fantastic knight on b5. He played knight c6, knight e5, king a5, and I was very happy with the final move of the game because usually we should be very happy when we make calm moves and finish them. I played a3 followed by b4, and my opponent resigned. Quite a nice game. I enjoy it, and it just shows you like a real nature of the King's Gambit positions. Sack, 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 and made the king somehow. After e takes f5, literally only move according to the engines is queen e7. But that doesn't stop you from continuing with the main idea. It's knight f3. Knight f3 is a nice developing move. You threaten to take on e5, and they just have to decide what to do. I found 3 moves being used in practice. e4, in which case you jump with the knight into the center of the board, threaten queen h5. And when they play literally the only move, knight h6, now many of you would ask, why is this only move? Okay, it's just one of ideas and one of the moves to stop queen h5. The best one, I'd say. In the case of knight c3, threatening knight e5, c6, a very, very nice variation is d3. Opens up the game, and when they play d6, this looks perfectly fine for black, unless you know that you gotta sack a piece. So first check to spoil the position of the king. If knight f7, you would just save your knight on e5. They still think it's fantastic because they just won a knight on e5. You take on e5, and you now go with queen f3. What's the point? You're down a piece for 2 pawns, but is this a position where you should be afraid because you're down a piece? Absolutely not. They have a terribly placed queen in the middle of the board, exposed king, undeveloped pieces on the back rank, knight being stranded on h6. You have bishop f4 or bishop g5 followed by long castles. White looks, in my opinion, winning, but okay, for you, we should just say that you should have a great attacking chances. Another line after knight f3 could be knight c6. Then you go knight c3 threatening knight e5, and after knight f6, quite a forcing line. You take, queen e2, and this is surprising for the King's Indian, but don't forget, we're up a pawn, and eventually we want to take by bishop, And we want to support, when they play d5, threatening to take the pawn, we want to support this pawn with this move. That's why we played that queen e2. We're up a pawn, we've just traded off the queens, and we absolutely have a nice and quite promising type of queenless middle game where we're clearly up a pawn and we shouldn't be afraid of anything there. And finally, I want to show you a game played by one correspondence guy who played 3 games, and all those 3 games easily won in the same fashion. After knight f3 d6, he always captured. This is why I told you. For example, I gotta be honest with you. For example, if I didn't know the line, I'd never play the next couple of moves by white. First of all, I don't think that I gotta take on f5. Now I'm just giving you like from human's perspective. That's why I'm telling you, there are good lines and bad lines. If you see a bad line, you just have to learn it. There is no room for improvisation. You can improvise, but if you improvise, then you won't be able to get a decisive advantage out of the opening. And that's why you should take advantage of these videos. You learn these lines and you just say, I go on the Maya's channel, we just check it out and we solve the opening problems, right? So after e takes f5, queen e7, for example, after e takes f5, that's the first move, you gotta know now for the knight f3. That's a very nice one. And then after d6, to take. Should we take? Is this the only move? Okay, yes, because they were threatening e4, e takes f4. And now specialty, d4. You open up both of your bishops, which is perfectly fine according to those basic rules of the King's Gambit. And when they take, boom, king f2. You threaten bishop b5 followed by rook e1. And this is the real nature of the King's Gambit. Like with the king, it reminds me on the Thumbleweed, a video about the King's Gambit that I did here like a year and a half ago. You can go and check it out. After queen c5, which threatens d3 and go after the king, you play bishop d3, develop in peace, threatening rook e1, and afterwards making a kind of artificial castle. After knight c6, rook e1, bishop e7, specialty is a3. An idea of a3 is to go with b4, to stop knight b4, but mainly to harass this queen on c5. If bishop f5, b4, queen d5, b5, and bishop g5, that guy, Toybert, beat somebody back to 2015. You threaten both knight c3 and knight bd2 with an amazing initiative because they have problems with the king. And if a6, why a6? Because they just want to stop this b5. So b4 when it comes with tempo, and that happened, you won't have b5. That's the point of a6. After queen d6, knight bd2. Now they want to go with this knight to c4 or e4. I prefer c4 so we can keep an open e-file against the king. After knight f6, knight c4, queen d8, knight c on e5. I like it. Yes, we do give them chance to castle and to put the king in safety, but we also put a king in safety. Here, it's all about full activity and better and more aggressive chances. Material is equal, but we have a full control of the light squares, and that's what we have to somehow take advantage of. So look at this. After knight e5, an amazing move that won the game on the spot. Can you find it? Stop the video, try to find it. Whoever said knight g6, congratulations, an amazing move to simply breaks the kingside castle. After h takes, f takes, nothing obvious is after queen h5, knight f6, but when you go a little bit deeper with the bishop g5, and after bishop d5, played bishop f5, and after queen d6, after the last move, black resigned the game. It was fantastic, queen h3. Black cannot stop rook e6, and the mate is on horizon. Thanks for watching this one, and don't forget, from now on, we're going with the King's Gambit series. Follow the channel, subscribe, come up with some donations, and show that you like it. Thanks so much. Bye-bye, guys.